Welcome to my digital and collaborative learning and context leadership and digital collaborative learning. My name is Cassey Prentice, this is me, and this is my assignment, and all of the following work is my own. Firstly, my initiative involved me using Workspace to engage my learners in the writing process. So this is a quick tour of what Workspace looks like and how I have used it. Workspace allows me to see what my students have started and submitted, following their learning processes and giving them a guide as to what they need to achieve. It has the abilities to let students work through their own pace. There's aspects of collaboration where they can use a Google Doc to share information on. There's also different parts where they're planning, they're creating their own research, they're writing procedures, they're submitting work as they go, getting it checked as they go, and also there is a part where they can evaluate their own learning. Also through Workspace, you can use an achievement rubric, so students can use different steps of the rubric to influence their own learning, which has been fantastic. After using Workspace, I completed a survey with my students to see how it has helped them in writing. The results were, firstly, I asked them, are you more student-led or teacher-led during the writing time? We had a bit of a shift from most students being teacher-led to 65% of them now feeling like they are self-led in their learning. Next question I asked, are you finding our flight topic interesting? To see if this was a topic that they enjoyed learning about. And as you can see, 85% said that yes, they did enjoy it, and only a small portion said that they did not know or that no, they did not enjoy the learning. The next questions I asked is, during our flight topic, what writing did you complete? Many students said flight, research, reports. I asked them to explain why you did not find the topic interesting, and many said that they found it interesting because they got to work with a buddy. There was lots of different things to learn about. It was really fun, and they got to make things. Lastly, I asked, if you could plan your own writing topic, what would it be about? I would include things to test in it, science, making things. So that concept of making something was really important to the students in their own learning. Next, I had a look at the results from the data to see how my students were progressing. So although they were enjoying the learning, were they actually progressing in their writing? So this is just a quick snapshot of 3 students from my class from this term. At the beginning of the year, we've got students at curriculum levels 1, curriculum level 2, and curriculum level 2 beginning. And then by the end of term 2, after assessing their writing, students have moved from level 1 to level 2, level 2 to level 3, and level 2 to level 3. For year 5 students, my expectation would be that by the end of this year, they would be at level 3B, which you can see 2 students have already moved there. So the data and the student survey was showing that there was an impact using this initiative in writing. The changes and improvements in digital and collaborative teaching practice include developing projects that allow for students to have a more hands-on approach to their learning, giving more opportunities for students to take ownership over their own learning. Using Workspace allowed me to follow my students' learning processes, and it didn't limit the learning to just within the classroom walls. Students had access at home and a way to share with their families, and also allowed them to complete flip preparation for class. Students can plan out their projects and share what they have come up with others. There's opportunities for students to share their learning and to collaborate online. Through Workspace and Google Docs, students can share their work with each other and collaborate on a Google document at any time, which means if a group is working together and someone is away, they can still carry on with their projects. Having hands-on building, developing concepts developed a deeper, more real context for writing. Whilst this project required a strong student agency, there is a need for timely intervention by the teacher of a lot of scaffolding for students to become self-led learners. This experience has impacted my future practice in digital and collaborative learning in 4 key ways. Firstly, engagement. When it came to engaging my students in writing, I wanted them to be cognitively engaged in the learning process. Just because a student was interested in a topic didn't mean that they were fully engaged in the learning. In my future practice, I will understand that choosing a topic is very important, but that doesn't mean that I will engage my students. Secondly, the digital tools that I choose to use were very important in enhancing the learning, and not just using tools for the sake of using them. The SMAR model from Mulligan 2018 for teachers reflecting on planning helps me to choose which tools will be useful and which tools won't. In my future practice, I will use this tool before starting a new topic. The next thing I looked at, thirdly, was collaboration, and to allow more collaboration to happen in the classroom. I would like this to happen more naturally, but at this stage it is teacher directed. I found that all students were able to share their learning, no matter what level they were at, and students feel achieved when they can contribute to discussions. Collaborative Google Docs allowed for this to happen for kids who don't normally like to share within the classroom. Student agency was the biggest goal that I had for this learning initiative. I wanted my students to take control of their own learning, and at different points I found that all students were able to have some control over their own learning. Scaffolding student agency was very important, and this did not come naturally to my students or myself, and is a goal that I need to continue to work on in the future. The successes and the failures of this initiative, based on my own leadership, included using situational leadership. I wanted to have a high task relationship. I wanted high outcomes. I also wanted to build strong relationships with my students. Students were able to use Workspace as a guide for their learning, and they had a place to refer back to when they were losing focus. So me as the leader could be more of a facilitator or a coach. Students showed an improvement in wanting to take ownership of their own learning. More writing was produced this term overall. Some of the failures included the lack of guidance and scaffolding at the beginning for some students meant that they were not able to have that student agency. Some students were not engaged despite being able to choose their own learning tasks. And next time, more support and guidance is needed to help students to become ready for student agency. And understanding followers' readiness is an important part of being a good situational leader. Using this model, the situational leadership model, which is taken from this reference over here, I wanted to use a coaching, high directive, and high supportive behavior in my classroom. I found that some students weren't ready for this though, so we needed to look at a different type of leadership. Transformational leadership has also influenced my leadership and impacted on my leading. This approach helped me to develop more student-led learners. It meant that me myself was a role model to my students to show them how to be a learner. I had to motivate them by providing meaningful and challenging work. My followers or students' mistakes were not criticized but encouraged. And individual followers' needs are focused on, which is an area that I need to improve on and encourage more student agency for next term. My leadership and impact it had on others. By sharing my reflective practice with other teachers, I supported and influenced others to use Workspace within writing. Students have access to their learning at home. Parents who were surveyed shared that they were able to access, share, and talk about their student learning at home at any time, which was really positive. The influences that relevant research, current practice, and policies and guidelines implemented on this leadership and change initiative included relevant research that has helped me to form theories about education using 21st century skills in my classroom, taken from Microsoft Partners Learning in 2017, time at Mind Lab, and discussion with other students about what they have tried to do to engage their learners has influenced me in choosing tools that allow my students to be both independent or to work with others. Discussions and readings around making movement have influenced me to include an element of hands-on building into my initiative and into my future practice. And a desire to have a more transformational leadership style has given me the tools for my next step in my own personal development. Here are the references that I have used throughout this assignment. You may wish to pause the video now to take note of these references. Thank you.